Hey, so this comes right off of Alpine School District's website, their mission statement. Thus, the task of readying the young for democratic life is the business of all educators. Along with our social studies and history teachers, others must incorporate this objective into their curriculum. Math teachers, music teachers, English teachers, our administrators, everybody's got to be involved. Every teacher should have this major board objective in mind as he or she prepares the curriculum. Parents, too, ought to incorporate these objectives into their family's environment. So I was in a session just a minute ago where somebody suggested that the 10-year-olds in the family determine their own curfews. I guess that's what Alpine's getting at here is it's a democracy. No longer are parents in charge. It's a democracy in the home as well. We ought to be practicing that according to them. So let me give you a specific example. When I got started in the math issue, it was a huge process. We're going to have to reserve questions or comments in just a minute because we're running short on time. Here's the basic thing. Good lad, I didn't know until last year, he is the source of constructivist math. Now, if you don't know what constructivist math is, constructivism is children should construct their own knowledge. They shouldn't be taught by the teacher what things are and how things work. It's more, you need to do some group activities, get together, come up with some strategies, figure out the answer yourself. And then it'll be more meaningful to you. And so essentially what Goodlad has done is he's taken and created a socialist math program. He said there's no God, so there's no absolute truth that we can turn to, so therefore everything is relative. So he's a moral relativist. So what he's done is he's taken that and others and applied it into math and said the process is more important than the result because there's no absolutes. You just got to get together, and as long as you're showing your work, obviously you should be getting points for just showing your work, whether or not you come up with the right answer. I don't know who he hires for financial planning, but I'd be a little bit nervous. In Utah, part of what I did over the past few years with math was we got the state to raise its math standards. I don't know how many of you realize that, but 2-3 years ago, we got Utah to raise their math standards. And thank you. As a result of that, a huge effort. I mean, we brought in experts from Stanford, and we had meetings, and we went through a huge process. And just in the last few weeks, the State Board of Education has said, you know what? Let's adopt the new Common Core standards that the Obama administration education department has put together. What a great idea. We went through all this work and headache where they didn't want to change the standards, where our standards were rated so low, and now they've accepted the Obama standards just like that. And here's the problem. National standards lead to national tests because you have to be able to test to what the standards are. So somebody's taking and drafting those tests at the national level. That means we have a national curriculum that has to be part of that program as well. Then they tie teachers' salaries to students' test scores, and maybe on a local level, that wouldn't be so bad, but once you realize where this loop goes to, with everything being nationalized, you can see that the teachers, if they want to teach and have higher test scores in their classroom, then they have to teach to the test. Who's writing the test? The federal government. So if they're writing the test, that means they determine everything that's going on in the classroom, and they'll put into the question bank social justice questions, fuzzy questions, things that do not match with our standards. In closing on this slide, 100% of Utah state income taxes go to our education system. And statewide, about 56% of property taxes go to our education. 9% of our school money comes from the federal government, but that gives them 100% control of our education system. So unless we can be willing to cut 9% out of our budget and say, federal government, take a hike, we're going to be beholden to all these things coming down the pike from the federal government.
So now you see why parents' concerns fall on deaf ears, failed programs are allowed to continue, academics, constitution, morality, and religion are not being taught. Of course, religion would not be being taught, but morality, they say it's morality. It's important to teach morality, but parents need to teach morality, not the government-run schools. Global progressive political programs are pushed. Until parents wake up to the truth that the federally funded public schools have been taken over by the people who want to use schools for indoctrination centers to change America instead of to keep America educated, moral, and religious, and unless we do something about it, this cycle is going to continue.
Okay, some of the solutions that we think are among the very best things that we could do legislatively. Number one would be to have partisan school board races. Right now, it's whoever puts up the most signs wins. Whoever's the most popular. Nobody looks into who they are. If you served as a delegate, you know what it's like to go and quiz candidates and ask them for their positions, get together and talk with informed people who are also delegates, and that overcomes that ignorance in the community of people that don't know anything about a nonpartisan race. At least then, somebody's got an R or a D behind their name, and somebody's looked at them, and so whichever way people are going to vote when they go to the booth, at least you know that that person's been looked at. Backpack funding, money follows the child, would be another solution. Give school community councils more power and authority to function like a school board. So you bring that power down to the local school. Adopt the Texas history standards, they're fantastic. And put in a solid K-8 math curriculum, Singapore or Saxon math.
Now, as parents, we can turn the populace to God, reinvigorate morality to reverse this demoralization that Oak was talking about. Know your board member. When you go to vote, don't just vote for the big names or who has a cute name. Please know who they are. There is more control in the school board members than in any of our other elected officials, because they control, like he said, 100% of our state income taxes. And know what's going on in your child's classroom and in the hallways. Look at the homework. Notice that a lot of times homework doesn't come home, and neither do school books. And it's not to save their backs. They will say that a lot of times, and maybe that's partially true. Look at what those teachers are teaching and meet with those teachers.
We've got some resources here. I know we just ran out of time, so we just barely made it. Write these down. I hope you'll all go to utahsrepublic.org, sign the petition, and get on the mailing list. That will be in a follow-up email. The Agenda documentary is a fantastic video that covers a broader base of this, but it goes through all this. It's an amazing thing. Charlotte Iserbyte's book, Deliberate Dumbing Down, was one that we mentioned. You can get that for free off our website. If you're interested in Singapore math, that's another of my sites, utahsmathfuture.com.